Hi guys, and welcome to my retro watches. In the words of Monty Python, now it's time for something completely different. Now if you are a regular to the channel, you will know full well that I like unusual watches, and what I've got here from Ciga Design is just that. It's an object of design that just so happens to have a time function. So stick around for this one because there's a lot to talk about. It's actually a fascinating watch with a modified movement, plus this watch has won a design award in Switzerland in 2021, going up against much bigger brands. The watch is called the Blue Planet, and rather than come in a box, this watch comes in its own book. So let's open this book and find the watch. So remove the outer sleeve and open it up, and on the left hand side there we have a picture of the Earth in 2022. This middle page here is saying the world in the future because it's talking about rising sea levels. There is a paragraph there which has come from Wikipedia, and then a lot of Earth statistics, which is a bit that I actually quite like. Onto this page we have many languages, and I can see mine which says mankind has only one Earth. Here we go. This is where the watch lies, in the middle of the book, like it's been concealed on a shelf or something. So let's get it out and get it close to the camera. So there's your first glance at the watch, and of course let's get it outside and show it in full detail in proper light. Right, that's better. We're outside, you can see the watch properly now. First of all, the disclaimer: Ciga Design have sent me this watch. From what I can tell, I don't have to send it back. Now, they sent it to me in July, and I've wore it on and off since then, which is a good thing because I've given it a good all-round test. Not just it's come out the packet and it's got my review. I've actually wore this watch quite a bit, and therefore my review will be a lot more honest because of that. There's lots of pros and cons. Firstly though, let's start with the specifications of this watch. Now, it is 46 millimeters in diameter and it's 15.2 millimeters thick. That sounds quite big, and it is quite big. It wears on the wrist quite well. Partly, I think, really because the strap is hidden under it. It hasn't got any lugs, so to speak. So that lug width, sorry, the lug to lug dimension is very short. But you can't get away with the fact that it's a giant round thing sitting on your wrist with a picture of the globe in the middle of it. The 15.2 mil thick as well, that's not too bad because it's double dome. So you've got a domed sapphire crystal on the top and a domed crystal underneath, which I believe is not sapphire. But as a result, as it sits on your wrist, it does sit a lot lower. I was expecting to walk into door handles and everything with this particular watch, but in fairness, I haven't. It's been a bit hard to tuck under a shirt every now and again, I will confess. So there we go, that is the specifications. The movement itself, they say it is a in-house modified movement. Well, yes, I think the consensus is it's based on a ETA 2824, and there is definitely a modification on that, which I will talk about in a little while. It's also got 30 joules, so it's quite well jouled, and it's got a 40-hour power reserve, and the margin of error is, well, they say -15 to +30 seconds over 24 hours. I would expect it to be performing a lot better than that, to be honest with you. Lastly, what else we got? The width of the strap, of course, is 22 millimeters. Now, this strap is fluorine or fluorine rubber, and you can't convey it on camera. This is unbelievably soft. It's really nice. It's not poor quality by any stretch. This is very good quality rubber, and it feels lovely. And I guess it has to be because this watch, let's get it out the way now, has got a big price attached to it. So you're going to have to really want one of these. They are in two versions. There is a titanium version and there is a steel version. So if you were to pick up the titanium version on their website today, it's $1,099, and if you wanted the steel version, that's $899. I do actually have some discounts for this watch should you want to pick it up, and they will be in the description box below. So as you can see, it is quite a pricey watch, but it is quite unique in its looks. It has no hands, as you can see, and it has won this design award. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So Ciga Design won the challenge category in the 2021 GPHD awards, which are kind of like the watch Oscars. They're up against some tough competition, some well-known brands in their category. So well done, Ciga Design. I kind of do wonder actually whether this watch was just a design exercise to showcase what they can actually do, think a bit more out the box, and as a result win an award and put the brand on the map. So the big question, how do you tell the time? Simple answer is with great difficulty. You certainly can't do it at a glance, and we'll go into that in just a moment. But the way it works is we take this nautical compass, so we look at North Point. Now around the outside track you can see 12, 1, 2, 3, so on. So that's your conventional hours. This is your minute track. So it's how it lines up. So we are past 10 and we're not quite at 20, are we? So we are at 18, so it's 18 minutes past 10 according to this. So it does take a bit of working out. And what compounds that, as you can see, we are in my garage at my bench and we have the lights on and we get a lot of reflection, not just from the light, but from the indices themselves. And all those little index, they're very nicely done. You can see they're all raised above, but there's so much shadowing going on that you just can't see these in certain light at all. And honestly, I like this watch. I've worn this watch a lot, but testing it to try and tell the time is ridiculously difficult. I do like watches with a twist. Some of my jump hours are really difficult to read, and of course I've got another watch I did a review on it many years ago that was also equally difficult, but you get used to them. I can't get used to this one purely because I can't see it in the first place. And I don't know what the answer is. Perhaps even invert these scales so that they were black and behind were silver, but then that would of course clash with the very pretty world in the center there. So it is design above form, that is for certain. You are going to wear this for the conversation piece that people are going to ask you what you've got on your wrist, and you can tell them all about it. Right, so let me tell you about what they have modified in the movement. And it's all essentially to be able to tell the time on a dial like this. So if we wind this on to 12 o'clock, you can see everything lines up perfectly. So if we then take it to 1 o'clock, which is coming up now, what has essentially happened there is that this minute track, minute wheel, has travelled a bit further than normal, because normally it would stop at 12 and the hand would be pointing at 12 and that would tell you the hour, but of course it's had to come over a little bit more. And as each hour on a 360 degree rotation is 30 degrees, therefore that has travelled 390 degrees. So that's quite interesting. Essentially all that's happened is they've messed with the gear ratios inside in order to be able to do that. But nevertheless, it's taken some thought, and it will have had to have been engineered and made, of course, specifically for this watch. So for that, I find it quite fascinating. It is, after all, a 30 joule movement as well, so it is not just your run-of-the-mill off-the-shelf movement by any stretch. I would imagine that should be not a lot of friction going on there, and when we put it on the timographer later, I'm expecting to see a very good trace. But there we go, that's the engineering side, which I really do like. Of course, the most interesting part of this watch is the earth in the middle, and if you are a flat earther, this watch is not going to be for you. So we're looking at the southern hemisphere, and we can see from Africa, we can see India, Indonesia, over to Australia, and we can also see the South Pole as well. And apparently the topography is pretty accurate to what it is in real life, so it's scaled down, and it's called micro carving. And we're going to look at very closely at this in just a moment on the microscope, because the detail is really intricate. So here we are on the digital microscope, and we're at minimum magnification actually, and you can already see the level of detail we've got. So we're just looking at Australia here, And then we can go up here, and we've got we got Maldives, Indonesia, the Philippines, and then we can get right up here, Thailand, over to India, and then above India you can see these lumps, if you like, that are raised, and that of course is the Himalayas. Over to the Middle East, and then we've got like the Suez Canal would be at the top of there, like, and then we can come all the way down Africa and Madagascar. I think that's absolutely brilliant. The topography is supposed to be accurate. I've got no reason to doubt that at the moment looking at this. Obviously it's on much smaller scale, but the detail is great, and you can just about see the machining marks or the milling marks. So it's very intricate and very well done. When we get to the nautical compass here, which is your marker for telling the time, so I guess it's your, well, it's just one of the hands, I suppose. This is the only place that I've found there's an irregularity, and you can just see it there. It looks like almost like fine hair, doesn't it? And I'm not sure whether they are scratches or whether they are actually burrs, perhaps. Now I'm going to go to maximum magnification, and we'll have a better look at that. Right, okay, maximum magnification it is. Now, there is a little bit of glare as well because we are looking through that crystal, which is reflecting some of the light. And getting closer, it's still difficult to say, isn't it? I'm more tempted to think that they are burrs. I'm not too sure how they've machined this. And you wouldn't be able to deburr it very easily, but I don't equally think, how could you scratch inside those recesses? But you can't see that with the naked eye at all. Let's just go back to some of the map again and try and fine-tune that detail. Look, it's difficult. There we go, there we are, look at that. So I know this is supposed to be a watch, and I'm supposed to be talking about watches, but I have an engineering background. It's what I do in my day job. I run a little engineering company. We do surface grinding and precision engineering. So looking at this, it's absolutely marvelous. I can see how they've sort of channeled out India here with very minute marks. So it is a precision instrument or precision CNC machine, presumably, that they're using. It's definitely not printed. So yeah, wow. Hopefully you guys, this is coming through on the camera well enough, and you guys may be equally amazed. What an interesting concept. Here we are on the time grapher, and that's what I like to see. Okay, the beat error is not where I would like it to be. I would like it to be 0 or 0.1, not 0.2, but the rate is pretty decent at 3 seconds a day. You know, I do think that this movement is a little bit more than your average clone of the ETA 2824. Let's try it in a different position. So that's going to be crown down. That's actually tidied up the beat error, look. Yeah, pretty reasonable. So we'll now do crown up. I can see now that's still going to be reasonable. Again, 0.2. So we're not losing anything particular here, still within 10 seconds a day. And that will be dial down. Dial down is the least resistant. That's what I always think, and that's demonstrating it there, because that beat error is going to be down to 0, I would have thought, and that rate is going to be even tighter than 5 seconds potentially. There we go. So it passes the movement test. I don't really have to do any tweaking on that. It's very accurate. Certainly better than most things I've reviewed on the channel. And if I was a service in a watch and I got it as good as that, I'd be really pleased. So 10 out of 10, Ciga design. You've managed to get a decent movement in your watch. Let's sum this one up then. I think it's a real head turner. It's clearly designed and built to a high standard, and it's a conversation piece. You are going to get noticed wearing this. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. I've certainly enjoyed it, and I've certainly also enjoyed telling people all about the watch. It is a pretty unique design, but it has been done before, very similar in fact, and many of you might not know about it, so I'm going to put some photos up now. Seiko, dear old Seiko, my favourite brand. Back I think in 2001, they made a watch that was called WN1 and WS1, and that was basically the north and southern hemisphere. So they made one for each hemisphere, which Ciga Design could have done. I think that would be quite interesting. And it was the same sort of project. It was called Think the Earth Project, which was an organisation to promote the awareness and provide aid, just basically to help vulnerable children and help the world in general. So it had the same ethos, and that had a map of the world and a 24-hour bezel. So basically it would turn 24 hours, a full rotation of the Earth. So not dissimilar, although I suppose if you put them side by side they would look pretty different, but the similar concept nevertheless. So what are the negatives? Well, it's a big watch and it's got a big price. I don't think it's overpriced necessarily, because a lot of thought, a lot of design and engineering has gone into it, plus it's got that award and it's unique. But I think if the aim of the game is to sell as many watches as possible, then this should be made smaller and cheaper, because that way it's going to fit on more wrists and it's going to be more affordable to everybody's pocket. Then the last negative, it's still a big one really. It's hard to tell the time. It's not impossible. You do kind of get used to it, and I think if I wore it every day for a year, then I'd have no problems with it. But right now I particularly get well, it gets more challenging for me when it gets around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock time. So when the arrow is pointing towards you, you're kind of almost reading it upside down, and you've got to think about it, which is not really what you want to do when you want to tell the time. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's something completely different. So thanks to Ciga Design for sending it into the channel. I've really enjoyed getting to know this watch more and looking at all the detail. Great thing, certainly unusual, and I'm pleased to show it to my audience. If you want to know any more about Ciga Design, then there's a link in the description box below, and that'll take you to their website. You can read about all their awards that they've won, plus you can see the watches that they've produced so far. I've also got a discount code for you, which is 10% off, I presume, anything, and that's MRW10, all in capital letters. That'll give you 10% off in checkout, so be sure to have a quick look at their website. So if you like this review, then please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. I think that comment section is going to be a real interesting read, because this one is certainly going to have a split opinion. I will be reading them all, and I'll try to reply to as many of you as I possibly can. I'll be back very soon with another video. See you very soon. Bye for now.